Hello, everybody. So happy to see you guys.
Hello, Laina.
Wonderful to see you, Lisa. And we are recording. Today is Wednesday, July the 28th. Oh my goodness, it's just always so touching to see so many people who are willing to come together for a conversation that is absolutely necessary, not only for what is happening in the world today, but it is totally necessary for us to transform ourselves inside. If we are not aligned with the truth of who we are inside, our courageous, our powerful, sovereign self, everything on the outside, as it crumbles, because it is crumbling, we cannot stop this. This is a snowball that has been put in motion thousands of years ago, and it is on the verge of totally and completely collapsing everything that is unlike love, collapse everything that the ego has made. Because the world the ego has made is a loveless world. It's a world based on conditional love. It's based on hierarchy, which means it's based on inequality. It is based in bondage and slavery, and it is based on suffering. The Course in Miracles makes it really clear. God has given us life. Freedom is our birthright. So we have liberty not only to choose to enter into this physical incarnation, but we have the liberty, the choice, the free will to do whatever we want in this physical incarnation. And the Course in Miracles says that we have one purpose, and that purpose given to us by God is to be happy. So if we're not experiencing reverence for life, total and complete responsibility with our liberty, with our happiness, or with our freedom, and we're not experiencing happiness, something is off. And what is so amazing, when you begin to put pieces together, that for me, it's just the way that my mind operates. When I began my spiritual journey and I began to recognize truths, it's almost as if pieces of the puzzle were being put together, and I was beginning to gather all of these what appear to be separate little pieces and fitting them together in such a way that they were beginning to give me a big picture, a true picture of who I am. And as I began to pay attention to these pieces and how they fit together, I began to realize that humanity has been totally, completely on a collision course, like the snowball that I was talking about. The snowball has a momentum, and nothing that we do as humans is going to stop it. The good news is that we can't stop it. The bad news is that because we can't stop it, a lot of us are going to end up with mixed metaphors. Egg on your face, snow on your face. That means that there has to be pretty quick, swift cleanup for those who are going to experience what is happening in the way that it is coming quickly. It seems quickly, but it's not been quickly. Like I said, this has been thousands of years in the making. But those of us who have had lifetimes, and in this lifetime, what seems to be decades of preparation, we have had, this is part of our agreement, we have had that benefit, but those who have not been prepared are not going to have that benefit. This is going to come at them fast and furious. And the work that I am committed to doing, the reason I offer these weekly complimentary connections is because I want as many people, and I know in so many ways we have the same ones that keep, you guys keep coming back. So I'm so grateful for you to keep returning. But the word needs to get out to those who are not in this conversation, because if there's not an inkling of preparation, there is going to be a lot of suffering, because the world that we thought we knew we could count on is falling apart for a very good reason. One, it's not sustainable. That's why it falls apart. Nothing sustainable falls apart. So that's the first thing. Let's accept what is happening, because it has to happen. It is a house of cards held together by egoic thinking, held together by a lie. the lie of separation, of inequality, and that some get to have and others don't. That inequality all the way across the board is not sustainable because God didn't create that. The other thing that why this has to break down is because it is a facade. It is a mask. We're living inside of a shell. And the truth of who we are, like a caterpillar that enters a cocoon, it can't live the rest of its life. It's not going to have life if it stays in a cocoon forever. Humanity is prime for becoming a butterfly. So we need this cocoon that is not opening up on its own because we let it know, okay, we're done. Because it is not opening up on its own, because too many of us are asleep at the wheel, have been asleep at the wheel. The butterfly has to be released. It is part of the process. So the mask is about to break. The facade is about to break. The illusion of separation is about to break. This idea that who we are is not one with God is about to break. The idea that something outside of us, like a government, is supposed to take care of us and keep us safe, that illusion has been busted for a long time ago. But why so many people don't see it yet? It has to break. The illusion that our well-being, our healing comes from the outside, that has to break. The illusion that intelligence, education comes from the outside, that has to go. The illusion that our abundance comes to us from the outside has to go. Now, if you're new to this conversation, you might be thinking, Lina, that sounds like gibberish. It sounds, that sounds crazy, stupid. You make no sense. Well, then you are one who is really under the illusion that there is anything outside of you that you need to receive to be okay. We have to break that illusion. The caterpillar is a caterpillar for a reason, because its role is to enter into the cocoon, to dissolve so that the butterfly can emerge. Just as the acorn holds the oak tree, the acorn itself, the husk, the little thing that the acorn is in, has to break for the oak tree to come out. The mother in the womb, we have to open up and release the baby that has to come out. We have so many metaphors. For us to continue to have oranges, we've got to take the seeds out of one orange so that it can blossom and become another tree. We have got to get really clear. Everything has a season, and when it is done, and it is time for something else to be birthed. We're in that season right now. We are at the time of rebirth, but it is not a rebirth into the old frequency. It's a rebirth into the higher dimensions of consciousness. We are in the process of waking up. Let me move this light. We are in the process of waking up to the truth of who we are, so that when we recognize the truth of who we are, based on how God created us, we will begin to treat each other with the love, the equality, the respect that is necessary. And anybody who says, but those people don't deserve respect, and those people haven't earned it, and these people haven't done enough to merit my being so concerned about them, that's part of the problem. We've been trained into believing that somebody has to earn our respect. That actually blocks us from the awareness that we're all equal. Even though our Constitution says that, we don't focus on that because we've been conditioned into the hierarchy of school, the hierarchy of work, corporate America, the hierarchy of the medical establishment, the hierarchy of the family, where father knows best. We were given TV shows to drill that into our minds. All of those things are not sustainable because they don't come from the truth of who we are. They come from a made up lie that has been used for thousands of years to control us. If we go to the basics of every true spiritual teacher has told us the same thing. Martin Luther King Jr. told us, focus on the content of somebody's character, not the color of their skin. That means go inside, not outside. Jesus taught us that if we learn to love God, love our neighbor, and love ourselves, that those were the only rules that we needed. That is something that's internal, has nothing to do with the outside. Buddha taught us that we needed to go inside and come to the place that we recognized that the mind needs to become peaceful. We've got to practice mindfulness. What is mindfulness but an ability to turn off the external noise that gets programmed in our head and go inside and listen to source within? Now, Buddha didn't spend time talking about God. That wasn't his role. His role was to get us to quiet the mind, to understand how to control the incessant monkey mind so that it prepared us 500 years later, prepared us for Jesus to come and tell us, if your mind is quiet, then you drop into the heart. The heart is what needs to lead. Does not mean that the mind is not important. And I'm not talking about the infinite intelligence, because that we have access to not just through our brain. The mind that we need to understand, that the Course in Miracles teaches about, is the thought system of the ego. It is completely incorrect. It is completely delusional. It is about selfishness. It's about greed. It's about death. And it is about suffering. And the way you can tell it's active is fear. Now, we don't understand the purpose of fear, and it is nothing more than an indicator that we're lying to ourselves. Depending on where you are in your journey, fear is an indicator that there's work to do, that there's healing that needs to be done. So fear becomes an indicator for where your suffering is. But eventually, fear is an indicator of the block of where your happiness is. So those are two different parts of the journey. To move through the awakening process, you have to first become self aware. That part of the journey requires inner child work. And every single person who is invested in being right hasn't done inner child work. Because if you are arguing, if you are protecting yourself, if you are judging anything other than what you know to be true, you haven't done the inner child work, because there's a part of you that is trying to defend a story, your position, your place in things. While you're defending that wounded part of you, you need somebody to protect you. While you need protection, you cannot have liberation. It's just not possible. So that inner child work is crucial and necessary, and what most people are not going to have time to do with the speed of what's coming. To be able to deal with that inner child work requires an incredible amount of patience, kindness, gentleness, and an endurance for the ugliness that is going to come out. What's happening in the world, the ugliness is coming out, as within so without. We got to wake up inside. The butterfly has to emerge. The outside cocoon has to break down, because it cannot contain the butterflies that are about to emerge. If the butterfly does not emerge, because what is coming is going to be so frightening, and I don't mean to scare you, but if you understand the dark night of the soul, you understand that what has to die is what is not us. What has to die is a facade. What has to die and dissolve is the caterpillar. You are not a caterpillar when you recognize that what you are is a divine child of God. Doesn't mean that the caterpillar is not part of the process, but it was a aspect of the process that as of now has been outgrown. We cannot be 50-year-old people riding around town with a bicycle that still has training wheels on. That's what that is. So I'm really mixing metaphors here. So we've got to let go of those training wheels. If you don't understand that you can ride the bike, when those training wheels come off, you're going to feel extremely wobbly to the point that you're probably going to fall. It's going to happen. But those of us who are ready to assist those who are about to face the biggest shock of their lives, our work is to know the truth, ground ourselves in it, and we will expand into more of our magnificence as a butterfly, the more we are gentle and kind and patient with those who are about to get hit with a massive. I used to get sensations about what's coming. Now I'm getting visions, and I don't like them. I don't like them. I don't like the visions. I used to want visions, and I preferred visions because it would be easier for me to see it. And now the visions are coming and the messages are coming faster. I started doing a list of the articles that I was hearing that I needed to create articles and videos about. And I I sat yesterday, it's like it knocked the wind out of me that I just have such an important role to play. We all do. Mine's not more important than anybody else. But for Laina, who has enjoyed a really joyful, peaceful, I do what I need to do when I need to do it. I teach what I feel like teaching when I need to teach it. Things happen easily, slowly, but the pace is picking up. And I've got two things that are happening to me. One, the magnitude of what's coming is, especially as a grandmother, is taking my breath away. But I know we can handle it. And the other thing is, I'm not going to let God down. So I am doing whatever I need to be doing to prepare to deliver these messages because I already made my commitment that I am under no laws but God's. And as I'm watching what's happening to people who are being censored, as I am watching these doctors, that these attorneys with hearts, you can feel the sincerity, you can feel the honesty, you can feel that they're not doing anything for personal gain. You can see that their lives have been so turned upside down. You can watch the ministers, the preachers, one in particular that I've been following, and oh my God, I am like that. If I could say who might have been like Jesus at the temple overthrowing the tables, it would have been this minister, this preacher. I don't know what he's called, um, up in Tennessee, and he is saying you have to have fear of faith right now. And where there is fear, there is not faith. And where there is faith, you cannot have fear. And he's saying, in our house of worship, masks are not allowed. In our house of worship, you're coming in here to claim the healing that God has given you. If you don't have that faith, don't walk in here. You don't have to. But he's being attacked from all over the place because he's empowering people. And when I watch him, I feel God just saying, all right, Laina, you better get ready to take your place next to this guy. And doesn't matter what anybody says or does to you because you're not a body. So I'm having to deal with my own thoughts that would like for me to play it safe in a world that those who play it safe are not gonna make it to the promised land that's available. Now, not that you won't ever get there, but right now we are in the process of having to make a choice for freedom or for bondage, for suffering, for safety, for enslavement. There's no other way. The line has been drawn in the sand, and we have to take our place. If you have fear, you are going to sell out. That's just the way the ego works. If you listen to fear, you're going to run for safety. If you use fear as an indicator of what wants to block you from your faith, you will face it and you will say absolutely no to that egoic mind, and you will strengthen a part of you that will allow you, just as Jesus did, to not be afraid of the crucifixion, because as the Course in Miracles teaches, we are not bodies. All that is happening in this world is happening in the mind of God, meaning all of it is energy. All of it is a play of energy. We are the cause of the effect of the world that we see. When the world that we see is unloving, is full of suffering, we need to come into the effect and clean it up. That's what's happening. We have caused an effect, cause effect of a world that allows for too many people to be abused, too many people to go hungry, too many of our brothers and sisters, they're not people. Once you enter into this journey and you're deep into the Course in Miracles, you realize that we're brothers and sisters. There are no strangers out there. They are ourselves, just God expressing itself in different ways. And if we don't get clear that what you do to save you, protect you, you're doing it at the cost of another, you are going to be on the side of the ego, which is selfish and it's all about me, or it's about my color, or it's about my group, or it's about my religion, or it's about my football team, or whatever it might be. My side of masks, or I'm masked. If it's all about protection, you are in separation. If you stand for the greater good of all and you realize that what you do for you, inspired by God, is for the brotherhood, the sisterhood, you are literally commanding the universe to activate your superpower, because you know that you're not a body. And in this world of physicality, where birth and death are parts of the experience, until we are in the fifth dimension, we're going to be done with the primitive birth death cycle when we get to the fifth dimension. This is elementary school, 3D world. But if this is all you think you know, you're going to cling to it. If you understand what the 5D world is a world where everybody is vibing at the frequency of love, of collaboration, of cooperation, at that frequency. When we are operating in a knowingness that we are all divine childs of the Creator, that all of us have something to contribute, that all of us are on a planet as God created this beautiful, beautiful Gaia planet as the Garden of Eden, more than enough for all of us to share. But we have to move out of our selfishness and only taking care of me and my family and my group, and move into the collective where we are all one. Because when we're willing to stand and defend another brother or sister that you don't even know, that's when you really understand love. Because conditional love is, I will only do things for those that I love because we have a condition. I take care of them, they take care of me. Unconditional love says, life is life. Life is life, and each life deserves liberty, and each life has liberty so that they can express themselves and enjoy the happiness, which is the whole reason we incarnate. We don't incarnate to make money, although that's okay. We don't incarnate to get married, although that's okay. We incarnate to have experiences so that the source of all that is can experience itself through all that is, so that you can experience painting, so you can experience laughing, so that you can experience breathing, crying, climbing, so that you can experience whatever it is. But we, unlike little children who know that, that's why we have to become like little children, we have been trained into, we just need to be on that hamster wheel, gathering stuff up so that we can accumulate and become somebody. Totally, completely making us forget that we don't need to become anything. We already are. What we need to do is unleash what we are. And how do you unleash what you are? Well, you unleash it into self-discovery. We are adventurers. Every one of us is on an adventure called planet Earth. We have been sidetracked and sent into the dungeons to work and make the system work for others. We have got to realize that there is nobody better than we are, and we're no better than anybody else. We need to claim our sovereignty and get busy ensuring that there is nothing that oppresses a single brother or sister on this planet. And if for any reason our life ends, people out there who are standing firmly for the truth, they're getting knocked out. We've all heard of the body counts for certain people who, you don't like them, they kill you off. That's just part of the insanity of this game. then you'll reincarnate. Once you know you're not a body, you're free. You are not attached to this life. You are okay incarnating in the next one as long as you live this one full out and do your part, regardless of how that comes. So today we're going to continue in chapter 21 in this section 2 that we've been in, because there is some really, really beautiful, powerful things. And this entire section called the responsibility for sight is because we've got to become responsible, activate our sight, know the truth of who we are, become responsible for our butterflyness. We've got to be willing to let our butterfly fly. Too many are so comfortable being, caterpillar slugs. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But what is coming is designed for butterflies to fly. But for the butterfly to fly, the cocoon must be torn open. The cocoon is about to bust. The cocoon turned into a cave, turned into a prison, and it is about to bust. That's really exciting. So I want to give you yet more information for you to really receive what is yours to know, which is how powerful you are. We are. And when we can come together in groups like this and acknowledge each other's power, affirm it, I see it in you, what I know is in me, then all of the sudden we are going to be able to know that there is a mighty group of people that we are arm in arm, can face what's coming. Course in Miracles calls these mighty companions. So thank you for being my mighty companion. And I sorry, I didn't mean to go so long, but I want to get into the readings because the readings have so much information for us. So let's get to that, and we will definitely. I'm going to make sure that I stop at about 12:10 or so, and then have a good 20 some odd minutes to chat. And then I also want to invite you, if you want to come join us tonight. I'm going to be at a speaker at an event speaking about life, liberty, and happiness according to God and the Constitution tonight. So I'm really excited about that, to a group of patriots, because people are coming together that realize that, together we are mighty. And when we are divided and separated, oh my gosh, we are weak and easily gotten rid of. But when we come together, it's amazing the voice that we have. And what is so funny is that those who are attempting to control things, who have built that cocoon, they're 1% of the 1%. Even if they were 1%, the 99% of us is powerful. But you know what? So far, there's only about 20% who have committed to being a butterfly. We still have about 79% of the population who wants somebody else to take care of them, who still believes that the outside is real, who still thinks that their safety comes from externals, who think that their healing comes from the outside, who don't realize that we are all in partnership here. God is moving through everything, and we've got to find a partnership. We've got to find the partners who are facilitating what can only happen inside. The religious groups, mystery groups, whatever, mystical, that take you inside, the doctors that take you inside, have you be healed and whole inside. There is so much, so much for us to be able to access in terms of power, but we got to come inside. And only those who direct us in understand what's happening. Those who keep pointing out are invested in all these caterpillars remaining caterpillars. Because you know what? If they knew what was coming, they wouldn't be doing that. All right, so let me go. This is in paragraph number 2 inside of chapter 21 in the text in A Course in Miracles. And we are looking at paragraph number 7. The Holy Spirit can give you faith in holiness and vision to see it easily enough. And this is because we either have faith or we are faithless. Either one is a belief in something. When we are faithless, we don't have faith in God, faith in truth, then we literally are having faith in something else. We are believing something else is true. So the Holy Spirit can give you faith in holiness and vision to see it easily enough. Everything with the Course in Miracles is about dividing everything into what is of the light, what is of the dark, what is of love, what is of fear. This is holy. This is unholy. This is egoic. This is selfish. This is greedy. This is all about me. So Holy Spirit will help us see the difference. But you have not left open and unoccupied the altar where the gifts belong. The gift of our holiness, our ability to be totally, completely loving, to be serene, to be in a sense of worth, to be in a sense of neutrality, to trust, to have courage, to be in harmony, all of that emanates from an altar inside of us. Every one of us has an altar. So here's what the Course is saying. The Holy Spirit can give us these wonderful things, but we have not left unoccupied that altar. We'll get into that in a second. Where they should be, you have set up your idols to something else. This other will, quote unquote, which seems to tell you what must happen, you give reality. And what would show you otherwise must therefore seem unreal. All that is asked of you is to make room for truth. That's what I'm going to title this particular conversation. Make room for truth. You are not asked to make or do what lies beyond your understanding. All you are asked to do is let it in, only to stop your interference with what will happen to itself, simply to recognize again the presence of what you thought you gave away. Inside each and every one of us, the child that is born, the little babe, whether it's in a manger, in a hospital, in a bathtub, at home, it doesn't matter where it is. Every child is born a bringer of love and light. Every little one comes into the planet. Every single babe comes in. They have a physical body, but everyone has love in their heart. Love is what we are. That is the essence of who we are. For us to be able to extend the love that is inside of us, our altar, which is our mind, must remain completely clean, clear, so that what is inside of us, the love that we are, can extend outside. So a baby, you are around a baby, God knows I'm feeling it now with my grandchild. A baby is radiating love. That's what they do. They radiate love. No matter what they're doing, you pick up a 3-month-old, nobody feels threatened. Nobody feels scared around the baby, except the parents are scared there's going to be another poopy diaper. But nobody feels like their life is in danger. Nobody feels that there's conditional games being played with that baby and feels like, that child is trying to manipulate them. Nobody feels that around the baby. That begins to happen little by little. What happens is that the mind begins to be trained through perception. When that mom and dad are not happy, when that mom and dad are upset because the baby's crying, not sleeping, and begin to withhold love from the baby, what we in our immature state begin to do is we begin to take in the information in our mind. The baby is not thinking words, but it is sensing energy, and it goes, oh, my energy is not safe here. So in my mind goes the belief, I need to pull back. When I'm being myself, if I'm crying, it makes mommy, daddy unhappy. If I am being playful, it irritates dad because he's doing work. If I am being just messing around with the cookies in the kitchen, it makes my grandmother upset because she's counting on them to be ready for dessert. So a little baby, extends love. You are a bringer of love and light. And when you meet the inability to extend yourself, you put in your mind evidence. This is when I couldn't be me, so I withheld me. You know what that says? I am not safe to be me. I'm not safe to be me. And guess what happens? Again and again and again. And little by little, the love that was extending out begins to be blocked and only let out if somebody meets my condition. If you let me be safe to be me, I'll like you until I don't feel safe around you. And little by little, the thoughts that go into the mind begins to create a shell, a crust, this idea around ourselves that we're not safe to be ourselves. And you know what begins to happen is that we watch mom and dad, and when they're not happy with us, and then we see, oh, mommy all of a sudden just got happy when she got herself a glass of wine. Daddy got happy when he got his paycheck. Oh, mommy feels better, or grandma. I'll use my grandmother. Grandma, she always feels better when she goes to see the doctor. She went and she got a thing of pills, and she came home feeling so much happier. And we bought a new house. Now the whole family is happier because now we have a big house and we can be happy. Then you realize, oh, daddy feels safe to be himself when he went out and he got himself, you can tell I'm not a big drawer here, a new car. Now daddy is so happy he's got a new car. So our mind gets conditioned to believe that these external things, when they happen, make everybody feel happier, makes everybody feel safer, makes everybody feel like they can be themselves for a little while until the next thing causes them not to feel safe. So our mind is filled with imprints of, I need a house to be safe. I need wine to be okay. I need money to be somebody. I need pills to be okay. I need to get a car. I need to go to church because, I got to go to church, and we'll do the Christian church. I got to go to church and get my religion so that I can go to heaven to atone for all these things that I'm not happy about, that I'm not okay. I know I'm drinking a little too much. I'm taking too many pills. I'm, driving my car too fast. I'm in debt to get the house. All of those things are programmed in our mind when we're itty bitty, have no idea it's happening. And they create a system outside that appears to be out there. And we see it. Oh, the big factory, the big business, big, the corporate, the stock market, whatever. Can't even think of these things. The big hospital, the big pharma company, big government. Everything is outside. It's only out there because inside we believe it has value, because inside we've been conditioned to think that that is what I need for me to be okay. And as long as I believe I need that to be safe, I will sell my soul, which is what happens here. We sell our soul. We lock our soul inside of us, which is why it's so painful to go and retrieve the truth of who we are, because first we must go through every single layer of lie. We have to face when the marriage falls apart. What did I contribute to that? In the beginning, it's always blaming somebody else. Lowest frequency, we got to go blame somebody else. That's what most people will do. When you're unconscious, you blame. It's somebody else's fault. Or you blame yourself. Oh my God, I am not good enough. I'm not special enough. Nobody finds anything important or valuable in me. But when we begin to get really serious about what's happening, we begin to question, why was I attached to that? Why did my happiness depend on that? You learned it. You learned it. We need to forgive ourselves. We need to forgive them. Everybody taught us what they knew. So there's a lot of correction that needs to be happening. Our mind, Holy Spirit wants to help us clean up our mind. But to clean our mind, we've got to let go of the illusions. We've got to let go of the layers of stories, of experiences that validate that my worth is based on the size of my house, that my worth is based on my money, that I am safe because the government says that I am, that allows for us to have militaries to bomb other people and to do the kinds of things that we do. We've got to question, for me to be safe, how many people have to die? Because we have to undo these really ridiculous thoughts that we have that our safety comes at the peril of another. So the Course is telling us right here, make room for truth. What is the truth? We need to open up. We need to open up and allow the light of truth to enter us. Typically, it doesn't activate in itself inside of us. We need loving beings who show up in our lives. We need bright stars like Jesus, like Gandhi, like Martin Luther King Jr., like Course in Miracles, Heck, like me, like Lorelai, when she drops her information about the stars, gives us information. We have lots of teachers in our midst, but their information can only enter us to reactivate the love that we are so that it can begin to go out if we are prepared to do make room for truth. As long as you're right about what's wrong in your life, you're right about what so and so took from you, that you have to have this to be okay, that you have to have that to be healed, that you have to have that to be, successful or safe. As long as there's something outside of you, you have an idol. You have made an idol. You need something that you're idolizing for you to be okay, which means you don't know that you are eternal. Plain and simple. If you don't know you're eternal, you don't know you're made in the image of God. And if you don't understand the image of God, which is nothing but pure energy, and it is loving, and it is creative, and it is expanding, you think what you are is just a human being in a body, contracted, small, at the mercy of everything else. We don't realize that we are the presence of the Christ itself, the Christ itself, not Jesus. Buddha was the Christ. Martin Luther King Jr. was the Christ. I am the Christ, and so are you. The second coming of the Christ is that we wake up what is true inside of us. We need to make room for the truth. And the way you make room for the truth is to question everything that you believe that you need outside of you to be okay. Because if you can question everything outside of you, you are going to have to go through the very uncomfortable process of realizing that was taught to you. You didn't bring that in. You brought in smiles. You brought in happiness. You brought in creativity. You brought in joy. Look at a newborn babe. That's what you brought in. And maybe a little hunger. So got to feed you. That's what you brought in. That is the truth of who we are. And that cannot extend out while we have blocked it with the illusion made up. That's all illusion is, made up. It's just BS, made up. Appropriately, belief systems, appropriately, bullshit. We have been fed a whole bunch of stuff that is not true by those who began to think that if they sell us this stuff and we buy into it, we're hooked. And we have been. They were right. They understood the mind, but they did not understand the heart. And the heart is way more powerful than the mind. And as our minds are opening up and we're seeing more clearly what's happening, the heart is getting activated. Because the only way to get the mind to clear up is to bring in new information. Once you bring in enough information that activates the heart, it's unstoppable. So let me keep reading in the second paragraph. I'm sorry, the 8th paragraph, second today. Be willing for an instant to leave your altars free of what you placed upon them, and what is really there you cannot fail to see. Inside of each and every one of us, when we have a moment of quiet, when we have a moment of entering into sacred space, you feel peace. I have yet to meet a single person that enters into a sacred space, into a sacred journey, especially if they're more mature on their spiritual path, that doesn't say that what they want more of was that peace that they just felt, that what they want more of is that stillness in the mind, the things you can't buy, the things that you can't put a price on. Earlier in the journey, people want law of attraction. We hear that. And in the beginning, everybody wants, The Secret did a great job of activating some truths, but a mind that is immature wants more stuff. I did. I wanted more stuff. I wanted a New York Times bestseller. I wanted to attract more money, blah, blah, blah. Until God had other plans for me, which were to empty me out of what I thought, had value, so that I could then be corrected and then bring my value to the world. We have got to get really clear. Until we begin to value that which we brought in naturally, we are not going to tap in to that holy altar yet. We will still be looking at idols on our altar. What are you worshiping? The things that you think you need to have for you to be happy. Those are the things that are about to get taken away, because we are on a major, if you're not already seeing it, it is happening. They came after us with race for a while before. They came after us around money. They came after us around specialness or college, your Ivy League school or, community college. We've been divided so much over the thousands of years. We thought it was normal to constantly be divided, constantly be pitted against one another. Now it's getting so crazy. Anybody who speaks up against these vaccines, that's the enemy now. Now they're telling neighbors that these people don't care about you because they don't want to be vaccinated for something that is curable for 20, 30, $40 worth of medicine that's been around for a long time. If the mind doesn't see the illogicalness of this, it is trapped inside of a need to be safe. And if you think you're going to be safe by your brother, your sister, maybe your spouse in your house getting a vaccine, if you think that your safety is dependent on another losing their freedom, you are completely deluded. You are so wrapped up in a story about who you are that has you think you're weak and you need somebody else. Number one, you need somebody else, mommy, daddy, government, to protect you. If you think you need somebody to protect you, once they get everybody to do what they want them to do, the last thing they're going to want to do is protect those who are needy, whiny, complaining. That doesn't end good. Communist China is an example of that. That's where this country is headed, except that there are going to be some patriots, there are going to be some people who are very clear about the truth of who they are, who know that they are going to have, they know they have within them the courage to affirm the truth of who they are, the Constitution by their side, to stand up and say no to this insanity. Those people are going to push back. They're going to push back. But those who need mommy and daddy to take care of them are going to be the very first ones that are going to be disposable, because those who are seeking control do not want to be bothered by those that they need to feed, by those that they need to take care of. They're just taking care of you to get to those who are the real, I'm going to call the warriors. Those people will work hard. Those people will get things done. They're not here whining or complaining. They're doing something. That is how we need to really understand we are being played. The Course in Miracles came to us 50 years ago, over 50 years ago. I was listening to some channeled information by Jesus saying that he gave us Course in Miracles 50 years ago because it would take about that long for us to even begin to understand what it says. Can you imagine? Look at how many people tell me, oh yeah, I bought the course. Yeah, I didn't understand it. I threw it. It's a book stop or a doorstop in my house. I've heard that so many times. Because people need to be willing to hear the truth. And the truth is just inside of us. We don't have to work to discover the truth, if you will. It's inside of us. We have to work to remove the blocks to the truth that has always been inside of us. Very simple. We need to make the room for the truth that's already there. We need to remove all the blocks to it. Sentence number 2 says, the holy instant is not an instant of creation, but of recognition. The holy instant is the moment that you go in an instant, oh my God, I need to change my mind. In the holy instant, you're not going to create something new. You are going to receive what has already been there. It's a recognition of what is already true. How many people, I was one of those. I was absolutely one of those. Put these quotes, give me liberty or give me death, or give me, it has to be love and no fear. And yet we put these things about love or no fear, or that the only way to get to the light is to go through the darkness. We all put these beautiful quotes out there. But do we have the courage to say like Jesus, give me death, because I'm not afraid of crucifying my body. I know I'm free. I know I'm non-physical. Jesus gave us that beautiful example. I'm hoping that that's me. I am absolutely doing my diligence to make sure that I remember this truth, that is my truth, that what I am is non-physical. So I've spent many years, this past decade, is to look at any beliefs that have to do with my body being my safety, my temple, that keeps me safe, and get really clear that I am not contained in this body, that so that I could cultivate a relationship with a part of me that is bigger than this body. So when I'm thinking of the essence of who Lina is, it is way beyond this body. I used to think, it was a little chunky, a little overweight, but if you saw my soul, oh my God, it's so massive that it couldn't fit in a million centerfolds. It couldn't, because it's so massive. So I've been cultivating a relationship with a part of me that's huge. And I love it. And I absolutely love that part of me. Totally shifting that perception in the mind. Sentence number 5: for recognition comes a vision and suspended judgment. Anybody who needs to be right about their position is in judgment. We have to suspend the judgment. We have to be open to hear other ideas. We have to be willing to not defend what we know, because if you don't defend what you know, you really know it. If you need to defend what you know, and you need to state what you know, and you need to prove what you don't know it, you're trying to convince yourself of it by getting agreement. But if it is in your bones, you don't need to defend it. And this is a very powerful statement. Recognition of the truth comes a vision and suspended judgment. We have to see, we have to have the vision to see. God wants us to see what's inside of us. And the way you find what is inside of you is by seeing it in your brothers and sisters. If God says that it put love inside of our brothers and sisters, we've got to look for the love in the brother and sister. We can't go walking around judging our brothers and sisters. Even this president, I do not for 1 second believe that it is a president that was elected. Not at all. I've seen too much information. And you may be saying, but Laina, what about suspending judgment? I'm not going to defend it. I know what I've seen. I see the information that is coming out. The people who want to defend, oh yes, he won, can never show me evidence of exactly the counts. They just share what some sites might talk about. But if you look at the actual information, which again is coming out, I guess, let's see, August 10, 12, 11, a patriot, one who is a really courageous one, is about to bring all of this out so that it's obvious. When we get really clear that anybody who serves the ego and operates at the lowest density, operates inside of this evil realm, that's what happens when we go down to the ego. We block life. We cease to live in alignment with God, and we become evil. Live evil. Those words interchangeable. Play with the letters. You'll see it's the same thing, which is one of the tricks of the ego, is that it distorts everything, but it's not creative, so it uses the same letters. It's not creative, so it uses the same stuff to make us believe something that is not true. So we are being asked, suspend judgment, stay curious, because your vision needs to be activated, and your vision needs to be to look for the good in others. I know that guy, we call him President Biden. He's a soul just like me, just like you. He wants to be happy just like me, just like you. He would like to feel safe just like me, just like you. He just has risen to positions that give him the ability to get more things that you and I do. And that's not fair. That is not okay. We have settled, because we've been trained in hierarchy, that the monarchy, the presidency, the dictatorship, the ambassador, the governor, the congressperson, somehow they get favors. And they don't have to deal with the law usually. No, we forgive that. But your brother and sister on the ground gets treated differently? That's not okay. But we've accepted that because we have accepted the special favors that we get, and we're not concerned about somebody else not getting them, as long as we get mine, because we have been trained into total incomplete. What's in it for me? That's just the way that the ego operates. We don't need to judge that. We just need to acknowledge that that is a block to the equality that allows us to get along, to collaborate, co-create, cooperate. To get there, we can't be here. Totally, completely different paths, totally, completely different frequencies. Caterpillar frequency, butterfly frequency. You're never going to see a whole bunch of butterflies hanging out with caterpillars. It's just not going to happen. You're never going to see any caterpillars flying like butterflies. It's not going to happen. Once we get clear of those distinctions between love and fear, God and ego, our work is to decide which side do we want to be on. That's what's happening right now. Humanity is being given an opportunity to pick a side. This is the bifurcation that is happening. You have to pick a side. You cannot be blended and get along anymore, because those who have control right now want more and more and more and more, because to the ego, it is never enough. A trillion, quadrillion, quintillion, and I don't know more numbers after that. It seems to not be enough. Let me keep reading and then we'll complete this paragraph. Then only, well, let me read this again. For recognition comes a vision and suspended judgment. Then only it is possible to look within and see what must be there, plainly in sight, and wholly independent of inference and judgment. The innocence inside of us that is natural to every single child is there, waiting. It's twiddling its thumbs, going, when is this person going to wake up and let me out? Our greatest superpower, our innocence, our creativity, our joy, our unbounded exuberance, our well-being, all of that is locked up inside of us. Isn't it interesting? The best part of us has been hiding in plain sight right there, which is why we don't have to create ourselves. We need to reveal what God already created. This is why it's so important that we make room for the truth, because the truth of who we are needs to come out. And when it comes out, guess what? It is going to make sure everybody else gets the same opportunity. Only the ego takes care of itself. Souls are connected on the non-physical plane, which means at the physical level, it knows to operate in connection, but because it has been suppressed, we have been disconnected from our soul, not because it wasn't there, but because our mind got trained out of paying attention to what's inside. We got trained into chasing the stuff, that carrot on the stick that you can never reach, never, never, never reach. Undoing is not your task, but it is up to you to welcome it or not. Faith and desire go hand in hand, for everyone believes in what he wants. Do you want this? Do you want to be released? It's not our job to undo what's not working. It isn't. We can't go and tell a person who's trying to convince you that you need this job. You can't go undo their thought system. You cannot go. Not one of us can go and undo the corruption in the government. We just, one of us can't go do that. We can't make those people's mindsets change. Not possible. What can be done is one of us, one by one, we begin to enter into these places and we bring the consciousness that is aligned with God, the consciousness of equality. We take that into all of the places that have been pretty dark. We take our light into those places. Don't try to undo somebody's mind. Just get your mind so clear about what you are that you've made room for the truth of who you are, and then look for the truth in another person. It is not our job, because it's not possible to try and change somebody else's mind. Everybody has to change their mind when they're ready. But it is our job to extend love so that they can feel the warmth of it, to extend kindness so that they can go, oh my gosh, how can you still be nice to me after I've treated you so poorly. That creates a resonance inside of one who is needing to be reminded that they have a soul inside that wants to come out. You know what's really fascinating? What's coming is going to come pretty quickly. If you hang in there to 2030, from 2030 forward, will have crossed this decade of undoing. This is a cocoon decade. Before that, we spent a lot of time realizing we're not just caterpillars. We're going to go through a cocoon. We're going to come out a butterfly. We've been doing all the work and all that. Then we're in the cocoon. 2020 is the decade to see clearly that which is of God and what is not. This is 2020 vision. See it clearly. Anything that supports any kind of specialness is not going to make it. It's not going to make it. What supports community? What supports equality? What supports all of us following what this country was based on? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not because some founding father said that we get to have that, but because those founding fathers, like A Course in Miracles, was channeled information, channeled truth that was coming in to activate in the heart of those young men the truth. And when they knew we came to a free land, we escaped all this nonsense from the motherland. We escaped. We came here. We're starting new and fresh. Let's start from the inside out. Let's have America be the land where all of these Americans have the ability to experience life, liberty, and happiness. Did some of them commit horrible things and have slaves and pilgrims, hurt Native Americans? Yes, that happened. We cannot ever move forward if we focus on the differences and not on where we are the same. It is time that we call people into their heart to say, hey, I see your magnificence. Fauci, I put a thing on my Facebook page and I said, you're acting like Pinocchio. It's like, my holy brother Fauci, come on. You're smart. You've got it in you. You know that this stuff is not okay. We've got to call these people into their light, into their truth. And we can't do that if we're attacking them, because they won't hear, number one. But every single being on this planet is waiting to hear the call to return to love, the call to come back into their sanity. If we know it for ourselves, then our work is to call them into theirs. I know that that's what I'm being called to do. I'm called to be kind of that weird person who's going to go around out there letting people know, hey, you are magnificent. You can do better than that. You don't have to continue to cheat us. No, Mr. News person, no more lies. No, I don't care who you are, because I don't see anybody as being better than me. I don't see anybody as having more power than me. None whatsoever. That doesn't exist in my consciousness. That stuff has been erased. I don't see hierarchy. I see only equality. With my grandson, with the president of Timbuktu, it doesn't matter where they are. All brothers and sisters on this planet. Everybody plays different roles. If I go to, I just went to my dentist. She's no better than I am. Did she offer a service? Yes, absolutely she did, because in that moment, I didn't think I could be done with an abscess tooth. So I let her take care of it, and I received what she did. And then I made sure that I activated healing, because no matter what she does, it's not going to heal here if I don't activate healing. So with my clarity that I needed that assistance, like I need the assistance of the grocery store for some of the things that I get there, because I don't grow them in my backyard, with assistance of the car people who fix my car, because I don't do that, I receive assistance from every being on this planet, because I know that whatever they are doing is for me to experience my ability to be grateful to them, to acknowledge their role in this lifetime, to acknowledge what they contribute to my experience, but not a one of them have power over what I feel, nor are they better or lesser than I am. That clarity has freed me to be kind to anybody. I doesn't have to be a special group. But it also has made it very clear to me of how important it is when we realize that to speak about it. We have to teach it. We have to teach it. I'm going to stop there. End of paragraph 8, because I want to open this up and make sure we all get to converse about this. I know it's a lot of information. I will be in Colorado next week. I will be holding my sweet little precious grandson, and I am going to be allowing myself to activate that love that is in me that just happens so easily with him. And the more I do it around him, the more I know I can hold it on my own. So he is here. All right, everybody, thank you all so much for being here. Please unmute yourselves. Let's chat. I want to hear that you get some nuggets from this conversation. Did anything not make sense? You want more clarity? Or if you see how this has value, how are you going to use it in your own life? Yes, Lorelei.
You know how you're always talking about shift and lift, right?
Yeah.
And I'm having a journey with shit, right? So now I'm calling it holy shift.
Yes.
That's my new catchphrase. Holy. And I just want to say, for anyone that's interested, Vern and Kat and I are having dinner at where Laina's speaking tonight at 5. So anyone that wants to join us in Roswell, please feel free.
And also, Christo and I are going to be there for dinner, and Angela's, we're meeting there probably closer to 5:30. Lisa, you and your hubby are coming also. So fun. Should be close to 100 people. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, all right. Who else? Any nuggets from this conversation? Good to see you, Miss Kathy. Did this make sense?
I mean, I can share something.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Yeah, so you kind of answered a question without me having to ask it. I've always kind of been like a justice warrior and done my deal of protesting and all of that. And then in my spiritual journey, I felt like it was too aggressive where I was going, and so I kind of moved away from that. But what I took from this conversation is like, it's not so much about like fighting as it is about like bringing light into those places that are dark, remaining who I am and in my truth, but going into those places that need more of that healing and not so much of the like, yelling and cursing and, throwing things and, like the aggressive part of it. So that really helped.
Exactly, because the aggressive part is just going to meet two caterpillars bumping against each other. But the certain assertive side that speaks up, that participates, that takes a stand, that is necessary. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody is going to take a stand, because there are many people on this planet that are serving this planet through prayer, through meditation. I mean, I really believe that so much of the whole Buddhist tradition, that those monks, their work was to sit in silence and activate light. That level of peace in the mind, that level of compassion, that emanates a light. So that is absolutely valid. And if you're called to be in prayer, do it without ceasing, do it. But some of us are being called into, I'm going to call it more warrior-like positions. Some are in the medical field who are saying, no, this is not okay. We see the data, we see what's happening, we see who you're silencing. There's a very clear, when you see censorship, that lets you know right there, only the ego censors, because only the ego is afraid of truth. And the only thing that ever gets censored is truth. It's funny, but they don't censor all the human traffickers. They don't censor all the drug traffickers. They don't censor all the people who lie, who have cheated. They don't censor the car dealers that cheated their customers. They don't censor the spouse that cheated on him. They don't censor any of that. They only censor one side. And when you look in and when you do your research, you see that at that side, that there is validity to that. And when you censor what is true, and then what is true kind of gets out, then the job is to go bash it. So if you can't destroy the truth, you're going to destroy the messenger. And so we have warriors of light, warriors of truth. in religion, they're in the government, they're in medical field, they're all over the place, and they're attempting to show everybody what is true. But those who have been scared shitless, thank you, Lorelei, into being afraid of their neighbors and reporting their neighbors who don't mask or don't vax or don't do this or don't do that, those people are being used basically to reel in their brothers and sisters to make it easier for the powers that be that want to control to silence as many people as possible. Because if you can get your neighbor to tattle on you, the neighbor feels good because they're doing the right thing, not realizing that they're just both being marched into oppression. That's what happened in every communist party. That's why Cubans want to leave Cuba, Venezuelans want to leave Venezuela. How many people in communist countries do you see happy there? Not a one. They're not happy unless they're in power. And those who are there living in that oppressive state are doing all that they can to find a voice. And each time one of them speaks up, they silence them because of the fear of the people. However, now they're speaking en masse. Why? Because the fifth chakra of humanity is getting activated, because we're starting to lose our fears about just me, and we're starting to care about the next generation and the one after that and the one after that. And that is causing a lot of people to stand up and be a warrior of the light. And it will be done at whatever level of consciousness you're in. It's okay. Some are going to be very violent, some not so much, and some are going to be able to do what they do with peace. But look at even Martin Luther King Jr. With all that peace, he did affect some change, but not so that it was done. Some are going to have to come up, and there's a revolution coming. I saw it. I mean, the vision came to me this morning. It was like, holy cow, but we're headed towards a revolution. Yes, Vern. Good to have you here, Vern. Let's see if we can get you to mute yourself. There we go.
That's good. Okay. Yeah, I'm listening and doing some contemplation at the same time. That's why I'm not on video. Just getting myself in a centered space. Rebecca, when your comments about, being a spiritual warrior in a sense, or that you are a justice warrior. I think for me, where I'm at is I'm trying to balance it all. And the best metaphor I have is the Sholon priest, that brotherhood that demonstrated the power of meditation, contemplation, and using martial arts or a form of martial art as a way of allowing them to have the beliefs that they had, and to defend that on a physical level if necessary. In other words, it really is. It's like I think Crystal and I had a talk about a little bit about the Aikido. Aikido is not about doing harm. It's redirecting the energy. So if somebody is attacking you, there's a way of taking their energy and redirecting it. The goal is least harm, but it doesn't mean there's not going to be harm. The point being is, what's your intention? And that's, boy, I tell you, if I remember anything from my martial art training, my sensei always said, no matter what you do, if you're in a defensive mode or if you're being the assertive, you must be focused. And boy, it means so much to be clear now. What does that mean? Well, that means if I encounter a physical situation, if I do not remain focused, then I'm going to lose. And if it's required of me to do something on a physical level, that physicality should be focused as well. And what's the intention? Again, the intention is to do the least amount of harm. But that's not, and I know that you know this, right now, I just got a message, matter of fact, not more than 20 minutes ago, the VA now, the Veterans Administration, the government now is mandating that every doctor, every nurse, every technician that works for the VA has been given 8 weeks to get the complete full vaccination. or else they will be disemployed. They'll have to leave their job with the Veterans Administration.
Wow.
And that is unreal. That's real. That's not going to happen. That has just happened when it was signed in yesterday. The second part of that, of course, is the next move is that as a veteran, if you want to take advantage of veteran services, you're going to have to take the vaccination in order to get your VA benefits, in order to claim your physical medical benefits from the VA. When that happens, all hell will break loose on a physical level, because that's the one place they don't want to go. And I think they're testing the water with the forcing the employees. And I'll just say this as well, because I know for a fact up until just a few weeks ago, when I talked to my doc at the VA and all the technicians and that, they all basically said, did you know about 40% of us have refused the vaccination? That means 40% of all the people working for the Veterans Administration refused the vaccination. That's a big chunk of people. And their doctors and their nurses and their technicians. These people are aware about what's going on and what's happening. So I think that we're going to see some things coming down the pike. And there'll be certain people. I think I've been, in a sense, I've known this since I was a child. I knew this when I first stepped on my first mat in a dojo, that someday whatever I was learning here was going to be used in a way for me. And I felt that. I felt it all my life. And I think we're going to see it. It's going to happen. The key goes back to this. A spiritual warrior to me basically is that what you're doing, basically, what is your intention? Why are you entering into any physicality? What's the intention of the physicality? It's to direct energy or to throw energy away from people. And there'll be those of us I know that will be called to do that. I'm quite comfortable with it in my life now, where I'm at with it. And I've been looked at, many people that know me in my life have seen me as this. I'm not going to, and this, I don't want to be egotistical, see me as a powerful person. And yes, I am.
You are.
And you have not seen anything yet. But that's not from my ego. That's basically from a stance that says, because that's where the power is. The power is goes back to intention. So I just wanted to share, some of the thoughts that's going through my mind. I'm looking forward to tonight.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're stepping up and doing that. I've invited some people as well to make them aware of what's going on. And McPatty should be a trip, my understanding anyway.
She's a trip.
Yeah. So
to your point, Vern, what I've witnessed happen to you is that move from force to power. And Dr. David Hawkins' book, Power versus Force, is really clear. Yeah. There is no room for the force of the ego here, but there is an absolute call for the warriors of the heart, for the power that is within us. And I will tell you that if there comes anything that comes between my little grandson and me, I will do whatever God tells me to do. And if it means that there will be somebody whose life may go, I am totally, completely at peace with the idea that I will follow what I am guided to do. But there is no way that I'm going to allow a biological weapon to be injected into my children and into me unless my children want it. And when people understand what is in these vials, and really get to see what is happening here, it doesn't mean that our minds cannot override them. They absolutely can. One who is totally at peace, and that's what we have to do. And that's part of it, just like Jesus accepted the nails in his hands, I can certainly accept the jab in the arm, know that it is not what I am. And if that's how my path is supposed to complete in this lifetime, I'm okay with that. But if I have the opportunity to protect and defend this child, I absolutely will, just as his parents are very clear that they're not going to participate in that. And every single medical doctor, virologist, biologist that has real research around this, even you can go to the FDA, it's not an approved it's not even a vaccine, but yet it's touted as such. Every single person that is speaking for what is happening gets censored. That is a clue. Only the ego needs to block truth. That is why we don't need to make up the truth. We just need to make room for it. It's already there. We need to pull it out. We need to create the space for the truth to come out. And I don't know, because everything is potential. I don't know how things are going to happen for me, for any of you, but I do know that there is a battle coming, because we have got to be, it's around the world, which mainstream media doesn't show. Around the world, millions of people in country after country after country marching. They're about to do in France what they did during the to Marie Antoinette. They are going to be taking down anyone who attempts to be a dictator. The voices of the people who are activated with their fifth chakra are going to be unstoppable. And right now, if one who willingly wants to take the vaccine does not stand for those who don't want to take it, you need to ask yourself two questions. One, why do you need somebody to take it if you took it? If you don't have faith in it, that lets you know something is off. That lets you right there know something is off. The second one is, if you believe that somebody else has effect on your body, you don't understand the power within you of healing. So one, we are operating from fear. If somebody else has to do something for me to be okay, that's the whole premise of little children. I can't be safe, so I need to make sure that I manage everything. Manipulation. If you are at peace with your decision and you trust everybody else has the same access to that peace, because it's not yours to them, it's them to themselves, then we would all be okay. But there's something that has been activated that is creating this animosity. If we don't look at it, we are being complicit in being used for something pretty nefarious. And that's what we need to understand. Yes, Lorelei, and then Kathy.
Can I just make one more statement? And that statement is this. I'm sorry. If you want to take some time and get a quick lesson, go back and watch the very first Star Wars movie.
Okay.
Not the new ones, not all the new ones that came afterwards, but the first and second, maybe third of the Star Wars movies. You will see everything we've been talking about on every level, about the Jedis, about all of it. I mean, that movie was such a wake-up call.
Yeah.
For everybody. And people, and they knew that. There's something that shifted when that movie came out across every place.
Yeah.
And it's been with us ever since. I just mentioned that. So sometimes the entertainment can help us revisit some of those concepts and get our mind someplace else for a respite for a little bit.
Totally. I actually had heard, I don't remember where it was, through a channel, who said that those movies, Star Wars movies, are actually a representation of what is happening on a galactic basis, preparing us. So yes, we are we have blinders on, think that this is all there is, but there is so much out there that we've got to move out of our little stories. And Patricia, you have placed a message to me, but you meant for it to be to everybody because it's addressed to Vern. If you'll post that so that it's available to everybody. Yes, Lorelei, and then to Kathy.
Yeah, I just wanted to just to support what you and Vern are saying. The cosmic weather is very much about the fight, but of the old with the new, of the traditional with what, again, the conservative with the radical. So all of this stuff that's happening, as scary as it could be to some of us, it is divinely ordained, and we have choices how we want to navigate it. I'm really clear too that I'm navigating this journey in my body to stand up next to you two, whatever I'm supposed to do. I have no clue, but I know it's a whole new level of assignment for me. That's for damn sure. Holy shift.
Yes, and that's how so many of us are going to find our power is in moving through our fears. It's the only way to find your power. Otherwise, yeah, you're operating in needing safety. And when you need safety, you will sell your soul. That's just the way it goes. The soul doesn't need safety, so the ego sells the soul for safety. Yes, Miss Kathy.
Hello.
Hello.
So first, I just want to recognize the power of the conversation here. And I really love the part about suspended judgment. And I just feel led to share that for myself, trying to be careful not to judge the other as the spiritual beings, as the ones that are the warriors, as I've just seen in my life where a lot of you know my husband, and he receives and channels on a regular basis and continues to hear to wear a mask. I mean, we check in all the time. He is being led very clearly to continue to wear a mask, and that's coming from spirit for him. So there have been circumstances where we're in a spiritual setting where people have refused to hug him because he has a mask on. People have been very clear that there's something wrong with you. So I just, and in that, we accept that. But sometimes you see where people get on the spiritual zone and they're demonizing the other, and not maybe recognizing, okay, I have to trust that people are being led how they're being led. I feel, and this is just potentially my ego, that he may be being led in this direction to teach other compassion, to teach others to look at someone who they respect and say, okay, he's on this spiritual journey and yet he's being led this way. Can I love the other and suspend my judgment when someone is being led to do something that I'm seeing as, hey, it's powerful to say no to the mask. So I'm just bringing that up to just be aware of, yes, this is an incredibly powerful conversation. I'm getting so much out of it. And can we have it without demonizing others?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody who is following spirit is listening to the voice that is guiding them. I know people who have taken the jab, and I like to not say the word because I've had my videos taken down because I use that word, because they felt guided to do it. I absolutely trust completely anybody who does it and has peace in their heart. That is God led. But anybody who does it with fear in their heart, that is the ego, pure and simple, because God does not activate any kind of fear. And just as much as you're saying, possibly that could be God using him, I completely believe that all of us are being called into service with 100% unquestionable determination to do what we've been asked to do. And just as it's been placed in my heart that is not for me, it's also been placed on my heart to be very clear that if it's not love guiding you, you're listening to the ego. It doesn't matter what side you're on. It doesn't matter what situation it is, because we are at the place where we all have to come to the altar inside, and it's going to look different for every single person, because each and every one of us stands in different circles, and we will have the effect that we have wherever we are in a way that we cannot possibly understand, by following our conviction to listen to only one voice. And so thank you for saying that. Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. That is what a beautiful thing, because from his position, if he's following that, then he can say, and you listen to your source because I'm listening to my source. And when we have two separate messages coming from love, that is how we're going to co-create a new earth, because it has to be with love first and foremost. Because when there's love, there's no fear. I'm never afraid of anybody who is following God, even if whatever it is that they're doing may not be what I do, but that is where we're being called. And this word may upset a few people. Check in if this bothers you, because it's a childhood stuff. Obedience. We are being called into obedience of God's way. We must be in obedience to be loving. period. To be loving, that means not judging. Thank you so much. Miss Patricia, thank you for sharing. And that was beautiful, Kathy. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I think this might be my first time to talk on here.
It is. Thank you.
Very stimulating conversation. I have a lunch appointment and I'm trying to get out the door, but I cannot tear myself away from this conversation because it speaks so directly to the heart. And for me, I see what's going on. I look at the heart of people and I see so much fear, and I can see it in their eyes. And when 2020 rolled around, it was like a huge wave just started moving through the atmosphere, and I could feel it, and I could feel the confusion. And so I started realizing I'm waking up to all the energies and how they feel. And I'm actually a sensate, so I can feel energies when I'm around people. When I go out in public, going out in public doesn't always make me feel. I have to put a lot of protection and stuff on to go out because it bothers me. But I'm trying to have a lot of compassion for humanity, because as I wake up to why I have come here, because I've known like Vern since I was a young child. I was raised in the organized religion, but I was always so fascinated with all the end time stuff and studied it. And I was almost obsessed. But in 2014, I had I call it an activation, where something shifted on a day in October in 2014. And I just started seeing the world differently. I was like seeing realities and different paradigms and dramas and everything. And I didn't really understand at all what was happening. But I ended up in a metaphysical school in 2018, and it cracked me open. Didn't know who I was. But the next year when I went back, they showed me who I was. So to realize that I actually came for this time in history to help humanity transition through these energies. At the same time, I'm still waking up to who I am. And I see everything that's going on out there. I have a medical background, so I'm not for the jab at all, because I really think it would cut our spirits off from the divine, from our spirit. And if that's what we came here for. But I also realize that some light workers have come to take that jab because they want to show the rest of us. They're actually sacrificing themselves for us, and they are on the hero's journeys. So I try not to judge them, but I'm still in my ego. I'm still battling it, and I still go into judgment until I catch myself once again and see what I'm doing. We all just have to fill our hearts with love and support and for humanity, and just really stay grounded in ourselves. And it's so hard to do with the energies right now that are coming in, I feel. But I know I've read the end of the Bible. I know who wins. The light wins. And I think it will be scary for us as we move through this. But we know why we came, why we're here. And it's time for us to support the rest of humanity through it all.
Thank you.
And sometimes that makes us seem foolish, at least to people around me, because nobody around me is awake at all.
Thank you.
But I love all of you. I love you all. I'm so grateful to be on this conversation with you.
Thank you for joining us and for sharing. That was beautiful. So one thing I would like to just tweak around that is that a lot of people that are taking the jab, they're not really sacrificing. Those who are doing it because they're following guidance are actually not only going to show us how this thing has no power over their bodies, because that is going to be evidence of it, as well as they will be using the jabs as exit points, because they are on the reincarnation cycle and they're going to be coming back in much faster. So as we move towards this culmination of the masses that are going to be exiting, it is we don't know what anything is for. We have to stay in that place. But we have to really be, if you're going to take one thing from this conversation, is that if you make room for truth and you trust truth in you, our work, if you are awake, if you are aligned with God, if you are doing God's will, that means that you trust that everybody else is also listening to source. It is not our job to change anybody's mind. It is our job to stand firmly in our conviction, and from that place emanate your confidence. Let your confidence speak. That's what has power. Force is to force them to believe us. But if you speak with confidence, if you have certainty, God is using every one of us. And believe me, I don't for 1 second believe that a jab has more power than God. Not at all. I just know it's not for me to take. That is clear. My daughter says she doesn't want it, so I will support her in making sure her child doesn't get it. So that is where I'm coming from. But if we can respect, so beautifully stated by Kathy, everybody where they are, there is nothing that is right or wrong to do. The course is really clear. Nothing is right or wrong. If our mind has awakened enough, this is just a dance of energy. This is an energy contracting and energy expanding. That's all that's happening. Energy contracts and it feels tight and tense, expressed through physical beings. It's uncomfortable. Energy that expands through a physical being, it's an expanded person who is happy, joyful, and free. The game is coming to a conclusion for the 3D planet, because the planet itself is ascending to a fifth dimension. The planet wants people on it that are loving, that treat her lakes and her rivers and treat the plants and the bushes and the trees and the birds with reverence. Gaia wants people on it that are operating at that level of consciousness, which means everything that is not that consciousness is going to find itself not on this planet. How that happens, I don't know, but it doesn't disappear from the cosmos, because all of it is soul. All of it is a soul. And if it's a soul that needs to continue on a different planet to complete its ascension process, this is a big universe. This is a big, big universe. We have got to get out of our minds and think that this is just this little planet. There are beings who are going to be what appears to be moved to other planets. Go watch Star Wars. There are lots of planets that are inhabited, lots of spaceships that are inhabited. As a matter of fact, I had a vision and it absolutely gave me, oh my gosh, it made so much sense for me. Planet Earth is a spaceship. It really is a beautiful spaceship. And she wants to get the fleas off her back. That's just what's happening. And it is, however that happens, is how it happens. But it is a frequency thing. It is not anything else other than frequency. When we align, let ourselves experience our truth, and love is what you are, you don't want to withhold it. You just don't want to withhold it because you realize how uncomfortable that is. Thank you all so much for this wonderful conversation. We will see Starship Earth. We will see you all, those who are going to join us tonight. And for the rest of you, I'll see you here next Wednesday from Colorado. Maybe you'll see my baby.
Bye, y'all. Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.